So with the developments here in London, there is a legal agreement that developers sign when they get their planning approval. It's called a Section 106 agreement. For every new square metre of office space or commercial space that's created as a result of a development, a developer has to pay £70 to the local authority. So when we actually have very large developments in the city, that can mean substantial amounts of Section 106 funding coming out of those legal agreements that comes to the local authority. The decision was made that we actually had to start limiting the amount of traffic coming into the centre of London and the centre of the city. So we have a traffic and environment zone which actually restricts access into the city by having very few ways in terms of coming in by road, coming in by car, and more ways out. So it's a very organic system of just controlling and managing traffic coming into the city. And what that's done is actually freed up lots of ground space that's been removed from vehicular use and can be moved over to new uses, whether that's actually pedestrian usage or it's new public open space. And you combine that with the Section 106 funding coming available at the same time, and it means we've actually got a lot of space and a lot of money to actually make that space do something different. I think big places like La Défense in Paris and Canary Wharf, they haven't been that successful in terms of integrating themselves with the rest of their cities. And if you're looking to employ people on a global basis, because they can work in financial services absolutely anywhere, is you need to have a city that will attract those people. They'll want to work there, and they don't want to work in ghettos that you are out of town, and that you only actually ever get to meet the people that you work with, because you're stuck in these huge towers that do not have restaurants and bars and museums and theatres associated with it, and you have to actually dead on weekends. It has to be integrated, and the city is moving itself much more in this way of taking on board the cultural aspects of what makes a good global city a good financial centre. What we've actually found is that the creative industry has been so successful across the boundary that they're actually coming into the city. They're coming the other way, looking for the quality of office space and the quality of environment that they haven't been able to find across the boundary. As these small businesses become more successful and as they become more international, they're looking to actually move into the city, where it's really in the past only actually been financial services that have wanted to locate here or been rich enough to locate here to get the quality of services and quality of environment. But we're actually seeing it moving the other way. There's a really interesting period about to happen, I think, where actually we're going to see the creative industries and the financial industries sharing the same parts of the city. And I think coming out of that, you'll see the things that normally come out of highly creative discussions, which is good ideas, new products, new businesses. So we're having to adapt a lot of our projects to deal with that more mixed community. So, for instance, the arts project that we're working on in that eastern edge of the city actually takes into account the fact that we are surrounded by artists' studios and international galleries. And we run a project, and we're in our third year just about to actually start, where we take loans of artworks from artists and from galleries of large pieces of sculpture that they would otherwise just have to pay for storage and to actually keep installed. We pay for it to be installed in the city, and we work with businesses to actually help us fund that. And we have artists with international reputations, people like Kusama, who's had a big retrospective at the Tate. We've been loaned pieces by Julian Opie, Tracy Emin. Both of them have studios within the Shoreditch area. And so we're really starting to accept that energy which is on the eastern edge of the city and bring that right into the middle of the spaces around the insurance and the banking sector, which previously were just very plain public spaces between really beautiful pieces of architecture, things like the Gherkin and the Lloyd's building. But then you start to actually consult with people. is that they're not so keen on things that don't change. It's like this idea of you commission an artwork and it's there for 20 years and you get bored with it, or you pass it every day. And if you're not really fond of it, it doesn't grow on you. You can get a bit tired of it. And people would say they'd rather like the idea of things actually changing a lot more. And we were not sure how we went about doing that. So what we did is we went and we talked to our art specialists. And what came out of that was really a review of how we look after and how we curate artwork in the city. Up until that point, we looked at our artworks as a permanent collection that we were stuck with forever. And we were very good stewards of that collection. All the maintenance was done and everything was, every year, to schedule, everything that was broken was repaired. But it never changed. And nobody ever questioned whether we wanted it anymore. And of course that's good stewardship, but it's not good curatorial management of an arts asset. I can see out of the corner of my eye a fountain that was created out there in the 1960s, which was a gift, and that not one person in this whole organisation likes, as far as I know. Mm-hmm. But when it came to this space out here being redesigned about 5 years ago, nobody knew how to ask the question, can we get rid of it? Because the processes weren't in place. If we were actually running that project again today, the question would be asked, do we want to keep this artwork? And if the answer was no, it'd be okay, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to commission a new piece? And what happens with this old piece? So there's a whole process that's actually set up to deal with those issues, which for a big organisation, a big bureaucratic organisation, are quite complex things to deal with. And I think that for any professional looking in any environment, whether it's a fairly recent environment, whether it's 100 years old or 50 years old, is that the key to being able to balance out those decisions between what's of value and what needs to be replaced is consultation. It's actually talking to people and getting their views and actually listening to what people feel about where they live, work, and where they want to spend their time.